Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie, part of the Women's Leadership Council. Thank you all for coming. Really quick, can we have a round of applause for Brian and Brady for letting us host this event? Perfect. And before we introduce our guest speaker, we'll go ahead and have Brady say a few words.
All right. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
About to get one of my favorite quotes. You know what that is? If you don't bring enthusiasm, you get fired with enthusiasm. My mentors taught me that one. So, good afternoon, everyone.
What's up?
A lot better. There we go. A lot better. First and foremost, I do want to thank the team that put on this, all the hard work that they did to get organized and get everyone in this room and scheduling our guest speaker, which she'll do a fantastic job. But I want to thank the committee that put this together and all of that. Natalie, getting out of your comfort zone and guest speaking, right? Comfort zone, good job. You did fantastic. But most importantly, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Most important, thank you for what you guys do on a daily basis. I was just joking with Larry that I don't talk to as many customers as I used to, right? And he thinks he does, but he doesn't. Another story, but thank you for what you guys do on a daily basis and in creating the Dolan difference with all our guests, which is most important. So you guys are the magic, not Ryan and I or my dad. You guys are the ones that make the magic in the dealerships. You guys are the backbone of what we do. All right, you are the ones that are the leaders within our company and making the difference with the guests when they do come in here. So thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for what you all do. And give yourselves a round of applause. So, now the fun stuff. I have a wonderful guest speaker who is a maverick in her own. All right, and I say that is because we started this group per se. We started with an idea of how we can get more leaders within Dolan Auto Group, how we can get more. Obviously, auto industry is male dominated. All right, you read it all in automotive news, and we've done a very good job, I think, of getting everybody involved. But we challenged a group of how we can get more leaders within our organization, right? Because women's minds think different than men, and that's perfect because I need that all the time to learn more from you all than what I think. So this person who's speaking for us is a maverick in her own. She took that step into probably the old boys club of all old boys club, right? Of the Reno Rodeo Association, I would say is the good old boys of the good old boys. We bought Dodge a couple of years ago, so we got a front row seat into the good old boys club. And she was a maverick in her own and became the first president of any rodeo association in the country within rodeo. So it's an amazing feat. All right. She did it the right way. She came in, she took chances, she challenged the status quo, right? Which is part of what we do on a daily basis. We want to challenge the status quo on what we do at Dolan Auto Group. She did that. And did a fantastic job leading this last Reno Rodeo, which was a mountain of success. It was a fantastic event for all of us. We all know that. Our rodeo tickets go, literally, we have 500 instant within 3 minutes. We're right at what were we?
200 requests in 5 minutes.
200 requests in 5 minutes. One of the most important things that we did when we took over the rodeo was getting the tickets from actually, that was Carrie Ann's, which she was with the committee here, with sponsors, is to get those tickets in order for you all to get the tickets and to enjoy that time with your families to go see, I think, the greatest show on the west side of the Mississippi. All right. I've been to the NFR2. Reno Rodeo blows it out of the water. It's not even close. So she's done a fantastic job. It couldn't be fitting for having such a person who took the chance, right? I challenge everybody in this room to take what she did in her life as an example, right? And challenge and do that within our organization. All right. That's what we want. Okay. We want people to step up, to take the next step, right, in their careers, grow with us. We promote with it. but also challenge the status quo. She's done a fantastic job with the Reno Rodeo. So we couldn't have a better person that signifies what we're trying to breed here with this committee, but most importantly, to challenge what we do on a daily basis and support more leaders of females within our organization. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a trendsetter. Thank you for what you do. All right, and the rodeo is a fantastic success and an amazing partnership for the Dolan Auto Group and the city. So that's all I got.
Holy smokes. First of all, thank you for that personally. That fills my heart with joy and warmth. And how freaking cool is it to work for a company that has energy like that? Yeah. Stop it. I just want to thank you all for having me here today and letting me eat up a little bit of your time. My name is Carrie Sattler. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, but ultimately it's funny that Brady mentioned some of the things that he did. The Good Old Boys Club of the Reno Rodeo is definitely a vibe, which I'll be honest with you, you're going to get kind of the tips and tricks that I've practiced in my life that got me where I am. Since I got elected to president of the Reno Rodeo Association, which is the first female and the youngest president of the Reno Rodeo in its 105-year history. Thank you. Since I got elected to that position as a woman and as a young generational difference, I've gotten asked a lot, like, how did that happen? Tell us more. So that's what I'm going to tell you today. I think you'll be surprised by what you find and how I did that, because it wasn't necessarily surgical. It was more about fabric. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Honestly, there are a couple of like guiding principles that have sourced my entire life. I didn't always know when they were getting added or where they came from, but they are here now and they are present in everything that I do. And I think that they'll be helpful to each of you in your own tactics and making sure that you advance your own mission in life. So again, who am I? Most recently, president of the Reno Rodeo Association. I'm officially a past president and it feels great. The Reno Rodeo has been a part of my life for 20 years. In high school, I was always kind of a joiner. I like to participate in things and make a difference. My love language is literally, how can I make a positive impact in whatever I'm doing? So I called the Reno Rodeo when I was 16 and asked if I could volunteer, and they're like, so sorry, you have to be 18 unless somebody can vouch for you. And I'm like, ain't nobody vouching for me. And so I called back on my 18th birthday, and that was 20 years ago, literally this rodeo. So I basically started as a volunteer. I was young enough at that stage in the game, and I was a female. And so they put me somewhere that felt safe, which was the Mutton Busting Committee. The Mutton Busting Committee was easy because it comprised of children. I was a young child myself, like, hey, let's put all this together. And here I am announcing the Mutton Busting for the Reno Rodeo 20 years later, and it's part of my fabric. So that's been really fun, and that's ultimately the journey that led me to presidency, and I'll tell you more about that. I'm also director of sales for a locally developed skincare line called Sorella Apothecary. Absolutely love sales. It is in my fabric, my DNA. It's part of what I love to do day in and day out. So you're going to find that whatever I'm touching, I'm selling. It's just the truth. Also, I'm a creator. I love to create energy. It's basically my currency, if you will. It's this thing that I receive the most. Like, I looked through this sheet on who are you, and I was like, I love energy. I want energy. I have the goal of energy. So basically my answer to that sheet is energy. And I'm also a strategist. I like to get in and make things better than when I found them. And ultimately, I think that's what each of us do as employees for a company every day. You want your company to give as much to you as you give to it. And sometimes as an employee, that can be a lonely place because bluntly, the company has a job to do. So it's your job to create energy in your own spaces every day. And ultimately, I would say that you being the source of your own energy is what's going to empower you to be the great leader that Brady talks about, to get you to accomplish goals that seem unaccomplishable, i.e. being a chick in a dude's environment. Some of those things can feel insurmountable, but I promise you, it's not about the world around you. It's about you. So if you've got a problem, if you've got friction, I would love everybody to just do an exercise right now. Think about one thing in your head that you are divorced from that you want. Okay, something you're separated from that you're coveting, desiring, or wanting. Just take a minute and think about that. Some of you are like, I know what that is. Some of you are like, what is it? Okay, just marinate on that and have it in the back of your mind during this presentation. I put my email here in case anybody wants to get in touch with me. I'll have it up again at the end of the presentation as well. To give you a brief history of my background, I was born and raised in Reno, Nevada. Absolutely love it here. I'm a first generation Nevadan, so don't have all of the roots that many of my peers do in our environment, especially in the Rodeo Association. I went to North Valley's High School and Hug High School, Hug Hawks for life, thank you. Which is how I get a little bit like elbows upside to sides. I came from both schools. I thought I was going to go away on an academic scholarship, and ultimately the Millennium Scholarship is what kept me in the state of Nevada. And guess what it did? It kept and retained an educated workforce. It works. Yeah, I love it. So I went to University of Nevada, Reno. Admittedly, I started college right on the coattails of graduating high school. I got my nail license. I was working for my mom and dad's salon and getting through school, making my own money that way. Hated it. Could not stand doing nails. It was not for me. And decided to get away from that. Went into sales with Bobo's Mogul Mouse. Started their very first website ever selling things weird. And then basically went on to the pepper mill where I worked for 12 years I was a regional sales director for the upper Northeast United States. I basically brought meetings like this one to the pepper mill and sold lots of hotel rooms, and it was magic. Absolutely love my time with the pepper mill. They're still family, a lot like the Dolan Auto Group. You can feel fabric and culture, and the pepper mill definitely has that. This company has it, and the new company that I'm working for has it, Sorrel Apothecary. A locally developed skincare line. Basically, I'm a director of sales. We have a sales department that's grown from 4 to 10 in about a year's time. And the company is growing like a weed, and I love being a part of an entrepreneurial environment. I went from a company that was 55 years old to a company that was about 5 when I started. It's different, very different. So that's kind of my background. Now I'm working as a director of sales in that spot. I'm a past president for the Reno Rodeo, and I love life. So that's who I am. So this is why I'm here today. I want to tell you how I did something that was wild. I'm going to do my best to inspire you with my own tactics and what got me to this space. I want to help you create laser focus on what is in your mind that you're coveting. And I want to teach you and build my own fabric, but I want to teach you how to build yours. And this is ultimately what has gotten me to what I think is a pretty successful spot in life and what I think will continue driving me forward to my future. So again, you know this part of the story, right? So then the next question is always, how did you get there? Like, what did you do? These are my guiding principles. These are literally the 4 things at the core of everything that I do. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about each of them. You give life to what you give energy to. If I had to give you one sentence to write down on your paper and keep with you as you move on, that is it. It is at the core of everything I'm going to talk about. And if you ever ask me to relate it back, I'm in sales, I'll tell you how it relates. So you give life to what you give energy to. The next is pay attention to your side of the street. It's really important to just focus on your side of the street. The third thing is respect solicits respect. That quote was given to me by my high school basketball coach, whom I hated and loathed. He's still making an impact on my life to this day. And I really do mean that. I did not like him. And the fourth is build your fabric in everything that you do, and what makes you weird. Paying attention to those things are going to be paramount in your own story. So again, that's cool. How did you do it? This is a systematic approach that I used. A lot of times you'll come to talks like this. You'll have your TED Talk moments. You'll see somebody talk about TED Talk and you're like, that's all great and fine. How did you do it? Is that true? Has everybody had that experience? You're like, it sounds great, Tony Robbins, but literally, how did you do it? So these are going to be, I'll give you examples of this, but basically with the Reno Rodeo presidency, I want to just kind of unpack that for a minute. Being a female in a male-led environment, I'm going to tell you it's the little things are the big things, okay? It's one step at a time. It's doing what you have control over. It's paying attention to your side of the street. My side of the street is I knew I could outwork anybody, right? I definitely look up to a good Kobe Bryant moment where you're like, I can outwork anybody in the room doing what I want to do. But it's not about outworking other people. It's about outworking yourself and making sure that you're taking yourself to the next level in everything that you do. Tangible steps that I took. I joined committees. I worked harder on those committees than anybody. I made sure that people noticed how hard I was working. And I didn't do that with a motive in mind. I did it because I wanted to make a difference. That was literally at the core of what I wanted to leave there. So making an impact in those space, I'll give you examples. On the mutton busting committee, one of the things that was really challenging is you'd have the parents and the kids together. Children are candy-ridden little creatures that are bouncing off the walls, can't focus on anything. The parents are overtly focused on the children because they're obviously consumed with their child's experience and taking care of their child. Their child is clinging to their parent like you're about to take them from their gripped hands. And it just was chaos. So what we did is we divided the parents from the children to get basically both sides of the street well maintained and what they needed to see and experience in that space. Very small, very tangible effort. I've made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of decisions like that throughout my time at the Reno Rodeo and in my company and in my personal life that basically get you one step closer to making a better difference in the environment that you're in. When you're making better choices about the environment that you're in, what are you doing? Having an impact. And when you have an impact, what happens? You get noticed. And when you get noticed, what happens? You have more influence. And when you have more influence, what happens? You get to affect more change in a way that you think the world needs to go. So that is literally the step. Okay. If you've got a to-do list sitting on your desk right now, figure out what's the most important. Why does it matter? Why are you doing what you're doing? Don't just tell yourself, I have to do this because I have to get this done, but tell yourself why you're doing it. What is motivating you to do it? I was deeply and intrinsically motivated by making the Reno Rodeo better. I don't even know why, you guys. Like, I attended the Reno Rodeo, and I didn't know why I wanted to volunteer. I just thought, this is what I'm going to do now. And then you take the next step, and you take the next step, and all of a sudden you're in the middle of the arena. It's wild. So those are the things. Obviously, asking yourself, what steps do I need to take to get to where I'm going? So that thing that you're divorced from, what would it actually take to get you there? You think of some of those things? Somebody have an idea in their head? Yeah, I can see what I need to do to get what I want. Does it feel impossible? Does anybody have an example they'd like to share that feels kind of impossible? This is scary, I know. One thing.
I'll just say that I'm in debt, and I feel like discipline would be a good thing to focus on.
Okay, perfect. And debt can feel, first of all, congratulations for being that vulnerable. I think that's bitchin'. I was like, that is one thing I would never say in a crowded room, and you did it, and I am proud of you. So that can feel like a wave that can come crash down on you, and it's really easy to justify how it's going to be impossible to get out from underneath it, because frankly, you unpacking debt means that you have to maintain all your normal life stuff, and you have to basically make a step every day in a tiny little bite-sized bit that does not feel good, is not rewarding, to see your actual goal be accomplished. This is a perfect example. It can feel insurmountable, and guess what? The little things are the big things. The 52 cents that you pay on your debt matters. Then the 62 cents matters, and then the 87 cents matters, and then all of a sudden you don't have debt. Okay, so that's exactly what the criteria is. A lot of people think that these legacies of 105 years of a broken tradition is some magical thing that you're divorced from. That is not the truth. You have all of it in your possession. You just have to do the little things that are the hard things. That's the big news, guys. Little things are the hard things. That's how you get somewhere magical. So going back to these 4 things, I'm just going to unpack each of these right now. You give life to what you give energy to. Consider my story. I think it's a pretty insurmountable spot to think, okay, you're the first female in 105 years, and you're the youngest at a time where, bluntly, we're getting more pushback in our society for being abnormal in spaces, but you're also getting a lot of support in society for being a weirdo, right? Mm-hmm. So it's both. Could I be the first female president of the Reno Rodeo Association in 105 years if the last 20 years hadn't gone the way that they had? The answer is no. This is not of my doing. This is of each little step being an opportunity to make that possible. The fact that I just happened to be the person that took care of my side of the street put me in the position to seize that opportunity. That's the only difference between me and any other woman in our association that's doing incredible work, because I will tell you there are hundreds of them. And I got to be the first. But guess what? If you do the hard work, all of a sudden your hard work and that magic of the moment meets the opportunity. And that's where you're looking to find yourself. Okay. Sometimes the opportunity is created because you've made the opportunity happen. And I can honestly say, I don't know that the Reno Rodeo Association was ready to elect a woman. I do think that they were ready to elect a woman that had demonstrated a significant amount of respect for how hard of a situation that is. There are men inside our organization that'll tell you right now, I have videos of them recorded in our 100-year history when we did the 100-year celebration of the Reno Rodeo. They interviewed a bunch of our past presidents, and there are several of the men that were formerly presidents of the Rodeo Association saying, we will never have a female that's a president. You guys, that was 4 years ago. I got elected a year later. Yeah. Okay, so I was elected basically 3 years ago. That happened 1 year prior to me being elected. There were people inside our organization that verbalized that and believed in it. And that's just not the truth. Okay, now I have to respect that friction. There's a reason why that friction exists. Let me tell you what the men in our organization don't want from my perspective. They don't want some woman to come in and say, I'm a woman, hear me roar, you men suck. Men don't suck. Yeah. Men are actually pretty badass. There are a lot of the reason I wouldn't even have the opportunity to stand in that position if it weren't for the 105 years of male dominated history that we had in that space. So let me tell you what matters. You give life to what you give energy to. I could give energy to the fact that it's never happened before. I could give energy to the fact that, oh, maybe they're not going to like me. Guess what? When you take your attention away from something, guess what it does? It starves. When you give your energy to something, guess what it does? It grows. Okay, so think in your life right now of a moment of friction, conflict, something that you have a battle with. Are you feeding it good energy or bad energy? Okay, when I tell myself, oh, I don't like my relationship because I have this, and this happening and he is driving me up the wall. Guess whose fault that is? I'm giving it bad energy. I'm feeding the negative energy in that space. I'm not feeding the positive energy. Now, it's not that toxic positivity stuff where you just tell yourself that everything's rainbows and tortoises and it's all good and you go about your business. You have to actually think about what you can control in that space. If I have energy coming to my relationship that I don't like receiving, guess what I have control over? What energy I give it back, what attention I give it, and how I choose to feed it or starve it. So that's important. Considering what beliefs have to be true for it to be unbelievable, this is kind of a complex theory, but you have to understand what you have to believe about other people for it to be impossible for you. I have to believe that other people don't want me to be successful or that I haven't earned it in order for that narrative to exist at the Reno Rodeo. It's not the truth. Exhibit A, it's not the truth. So starving that of its oxygen, saying, not only do I not believe that the men around me don't want to see a female be president, but I truly believe that they want a hardworking individual in that position to take the rodeo to the next step. Guess what I happen to be? That human. I look a little different. I'm a little bit younger, but other than that, I'm that human. And that narrative wasn't hard for the people that made that vote, women included, to say, yeah, she can do that job. Create a system and trust the process. This is basically every little thing matters, right? The 52 cents on your debt, it freaking matters. When you think it doesn't matter, that's actually the thing that matters. That's what's separating you from success, is the fact that you're telling yourself that the 52 cents doesn't matter. The 52 cents matters. The thing you didn't get done on your to-do list today for this company matters. They might not know it. Guess who does know it? You. You're the employee that separates yourself from having the success that you want, and then you look to blame it on somebody else when you don't get the opportunities that you want, you don't have the situation that you want, you're feeling stressed at work, you're feeling overwhelmed. Guess what you have control over? Your stress and your overwhelm. What you choose to give energy to. There are enough tasks on each of our desks as employees every day that are insurmountable. What you do get to decide is which ones you give energy to and which ones are going to feed the growth for you and for your company, for your family, for your personal well-being. So think about that. The next time you have a task on your to-do list and you go to yourself with a frying pan, beating yourself up over the fact that it didn't get done, put the frying pan down. That would be cool. And you also have to ask yourself how bad you want it. How bad do you want to be out of debt? How bad do you want to be president of an organization that's never had a female officer? How bad do you want to do the thing that you say you want to do? Bluntly, you might ask yourself that question and realize that it actually is not important to you. Okay, I think for me, I'll tell you my personal journey right now. I just hit the culmination of a 20-year journey that feels like the end of the road. Is that fair? Like, past presidents get put out to pasture. That's what we say at the Reno Rodeo. We call them brown coats and they're a pain in our ass. I'm not going to be that, guys. It's not going to happen on my watch. So now I have a new challenge. How do I take an organization of people who have been at the height of their power in an organization that have given their all? I can tell you on the coattails of this, you sacrifice friends, you sacrifice family, you sacrifice a full-time second job, and you get criticized the whole time you're doing it. But you also have a shit ton of fun, right? All of those things just happened. How do you take an organization of those individuals and now inspire them to continue doing great with the new fabric that they have? That's my next mission in my chapter. And the little things are the big things. That 52 cents matters. Okay, your side of the street. This one I love. Think about what's separating you from the thing that you want that you don't have, and think about the reasons why you don't have it, or the excuses why you don't have it. They are different. A reason is a little bit different than an excuse, but they are very closely related. I'm sure you can start to whittle that out for yourself. But think about how much power you give the alternate course. Say, power in this example, I'm a woman. I can't possibly be successful in a space where no other woman has been successful before me. Okay, I took away that power by just not even addressing the fact that it was an issue. All I did was do what I can do. I can control how hard I work. I can control making an impact. I can pay other people respect. I can make space for myself to show up and demonstrate the qualities that I think are necessary to make this role well fulfilled, female or not, young or not. Okay, same thing is true for you. You're giving away your power every time you have an excuse or a reason that you give oxygen to. You give life to what you give energy to. If you give energy to that, guess what happens? You feed it. You feed the excuse. You feed the justification. I will always be in debt. You poor thing, you're going to get picked on all day. The law of attraction is real. Like, you hear all of these things, but I tell you, it's not like this massive thing that is hard to figure out. The law of attraction is real because simply it's what you're giving energy to. If you're giving energy to the fact that it's going to work, guess what? It works. If you give energy to the fact that it doesn't, it doesn't. Now, does that mean that it's easy? No, it does not. Okay, it was not easy to become the first female of the rodeo association and not have nights where I felt impacted. I literally had somebody, words out of their mouth, tell me, you have no voice here, you shouldn't be speaking. What do you do with that? What did you say?
Cry.
Okay, maybe you're gonna cry. Okay, to Brady's point, women think different than men. Women, if you feed your freaking emotions, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna control you. Be mindful of that. You give life to what you give energy to. Women are deeply emotional creatures. They can be, but you can also train your monkey. It doesn't have to take you for a walk. You can take it for a walk. Yes, that hurt my feelings. Guess what? That's more about him than it is about me. You give life to what you give energy to. Now, did it change the circumstances in the environment? In all fairness, he looked like a jerk. That happens with or without me, right? That's not my side of the street. That's his side of the street. My side of the street is how I choose to respond to that human saying that. Could I pack my bag and go home?
Yeah.
I sure could. And guess what wouldn't happen? I wouldn't be here. You have to have grit, tenacity, and passion, which was what 2024 was about. Okay, so those are moments where you literally have a choice on how you choose to respond to something. And that, I think, is really important to know. You can starve it. You can starve the excuses. You can starve the reasons. You just have to decide what beast you're going to feed. You create your own magnetism by focusing on your side of the street. So when I say your side of the street, you think about how you cannot control other people. Bluntly, sometimes even you taking care of you is the hardest thing to do. The last bullet point on this, the only thing you have control over is you. And sometimes even that is hard. Okay, you're obviously sitting up here knowing that you have control over your debt, right? Mm-hmm. I have control over my debt, but guess what? It's really hard to get myself to pay that 52 cents because I'd really rather have this other thing this month. That's the story, right? And then it's just this pattern, and you realize that the pattern just keeps playing itself out. And usually it's in more than one area of your life. It's not just happening in your work. It's not just happening in your personal life. It's happening everywhere. It's you. Everywhere you are, it's happening. I promise you that. It's happening in your personal life, your professional life. Everywhere you go, it's happening. And that is what the law of attraction is getting rid of the bullshit habits, the things that separate you from success because you're feeding the wrong thing, and feed the thing that's going to get you where you want to go. Feed the 52 cents. Feed it. All right. Respect solicits respect. This one was huge. Basketball coach, that guy. Consider your relationship with yourself and others. Okay. A lot of times it's really hard for us to find conflict with another human. And I'm going to use humans primarily because most of our conflict comes from other people doing things, especially when we're in a work environment. Okay. So-and-so never gets this to me on time. It puts me behind. I look bad. This happens and it turns into a cyclical cycle. Now, the same thing is true. You can elevate up, right? So taking accountability is something that I think is really, really important. And that's basically what respect is. Respect is making sure that you're taking care of your side of the street, paying attention to the accountability you can pay yourself. So consider your relationship with yourself and others. That old adage of treat others the way that you want to be treated. How hard is that? Does anybody have a hard time with that? I want to tell you the truth. Sometimes I think it is harder in practice than it is in theory. There are moments where somebody complains to me about something that they think I have control over, and I get my ego in the way and say, well, I did it because of this, this, and this, right? Is that actually how that person wants to be treated in that moment, or does that person want to be heard? Hey, I'm really struggling with this. I'm being brave enough to bring this to you and tell you why it's like making my job hard. And guess what we do? Beat them over the head with the same frying pan I used on myself this morning. right? So think about being receptive in a space where somebody approaches you with an improvement or an idea. Okay, maybe you developed some program at work that you started and bluntly it's not going well. Shit happens, right? The ecosystem isn't supporting it. You don't have enough bandwidth for it. You're not giving it enough attention, whatever it might be. Basically, you have to separate yourself from the fact that I'm doing something that didn't go well. Like I could do this better. You have to separate yourself from the ego when that coworker approaches you and says, hey, what if we did this? Even though that first idea was your baby, it doesn't mean that you failed. How empowering is it when you said, hey, I tried it and I think we should try it different? How much better do you look at work when you're willing to put yourself aside and actually serve the better good, regardless of if it was your idea? Guess what else it does? It starves you of beating yourself up for not having the best idea. It's not about being the best. It's about being the best together. There is no way the Reno Rodeo Association is successful because one little female was president of it. That's not the truth. You'd be dumb to think it. However, we're more than willing to give credit, accolades, or pain points to our bosses, our supervisors, the people that we work with, the people who are affecting us at our side, the people that we supervise. It's everybody else's fault. You could do that all day long. It's a losing proposition. It's not going to get you where you're going, right? You have to literally say, what can I do that's going to make this better? What about me? I have control over me and my monkey. That's all I have control over. What can I do to make this better? Guess what happens? As soon as I start doing that, guess what happens to the peer next to me or my employee or my supervisor? They start acting the same way. When you give yourself permission to be audaciously brave and just take care of your side of the street, guess what it does to the people around you? Lets them do the same thing. Respect solicits respect. That is the easiest way for you to teach others how to do it, is to pay the same respect for yourself. I have a personal boundary. Here's how I need to exercise it. The third bullet. This is a tool that I would write down. If you haven't read it, it's called Nonviolent Communication. It is a great book. Has anybody read it? I left you with something good. That's great. Nonviolent communication. It sounds kind of silly, but I gave a copy of this book to every director at the Reno Rodeo Association this year. And basically the book talks about how to approach conflict and do it in a way that makes it easy to receive. And so the idea there, I'm going to tell you, is very self-centered. Hey, when this happened, it makes me feel this. My side of the street, my feeling, not what you did is this, not labeling somebody else's behavior as bad, poor, negative, giving a descriptive word to it, right? You're selfish. You don't take out the garbage, right? You're lazy. No, when you don't take out the garbage, it makes me feel alone in my responsibilities at the household. And I don't want to feel like that in a relationship. All of a sudden, is it different? I'm not attacking the human that I'm with. I'm now saying I have a boundary. I want this environment to be better, and this is why. All of a sudden, that person can get behind. Every time I take out the garbage, I'm making this person feel like I'm a part of this responsibility, like I am making the ecosystem better for them. I'm contributing positively to the outcome. Not having to beat myself up over being lazy or negative or not doing something in the house. Nonviolent communication is a great tool. It's also self-centered. Again, a lot of this is about being self-centered. And I think in our society, it's really, we're focused on other people a lot. And I think it's one of the biggest poisons in our interaction as humans. Others want to see greatness. Is that the truth? I want to watch Scotty Scheffler win everything. Everything. I think it's cool. Now, certainly that doesn't mean that there's not jealous moments, right? But guess what? That's my side of the street to handle. My jealousy is my problem, not his. But people want to see greatness. They want to see you do great. They want to see you be great. They want you to get the promotion. They want you to get the salary advance. There is never a time where an employer has an employee walk into their office and they're asking for a raise, a bonus, more vacation, 45 free things, whatever it is. Guess what the employer wants to say? They want to say yes, but they want to feel like it's worth it. So is the juice worth the squeeze? Are you making the juice worth the squeeze? If you're not, that's your side of the street to control. I've never been told no at the Reno Rodeo when I went for an election. That, to me, is more powerful than the fact that I'm the first female president. I put myself in a position that people wanted to say yes. That's more powerful to me than actually getting the title of president. Put yourself in a position to be the person that somebody wants to say yes to because you earned it and it's obvious. Okay. backpacks. This is one of my favorite analogies, but I think about this often. Backpacks to me are the things that we try to put on other people's backs. Like we have these bags next to us and we can fill them with all the things, the energy, right? I can basically take my emotional burden rock, the I want to cry rock. I can put it in my backpack and I can let it sit there and I can observe it. And then I actually get to decide if I'm going to pick it up and walk out the door with it. Okay. You all have backpacks next to you. What if I walk up to you and say, God, your debt sucks, and I put a rock in your backpack? Feels like shit. Guess what? You can decide. I'm going to take that rock the hell out of that backpack. I don't need that rock. I'm not going to carry it. Now, does the rock exist? Yeah, the rock exists. You give life to what you give energy to. Take the rock out of your backpack. You literally don't have to pick it up. Okay. It can come into your environment. Do you have to pick it up? You don't have to pick it up. Okay. Somebody gives you an assignment at work that you don't like. What do you do with it? I'm asking this actually, honestly. You get an assignment at work, you don't feel good about it, you don't believe in the idea, something's not going right with it, you don't want to do it, it doesn't fit where you're going next, what your mission in life is. What do?
Procrastinate until it's due.
Hide from it. First of all, congratulations for being that vulnerable. Because it's the truth. That is the easy thing to do, right? Guess what's even easier than that? Building a relationship where you can say it out loud. It is so much more powerful. And it's not just about saying no, because remember, respect solicits respect. What's another way to say it? Hey, this doesn't align with where I see my career going. I really want to make sure that this initiative that you believe in goes well. I feel like if I participate in it, it's not going to be as successful as it could be. I realize that this falls inside my job description. So I want to find a way to make both of those things work. What is Brady or anybody else at this company, Brian or Tom, who's going to say no to that? They're going to say, wow, I appreciate the honesty. Let's actually find a better way to make this work. Now, it may very well be your job description, and maybe the conversation needs to be, maybe this isn't the right job for you. That's also something you have to realize is the truth. Their needs are as much their needs as your needs are yours. Okay, that position and that role may be imperative to the company, and you may not be the right person to fill it. But you got to get real honest with that too. I think employees taking jobs that don't fit their energy is one of the biggest issues in the workplace. You want the job because you want your money, but you don't always want to do the job that you're doing. We've all been there. We've all done them. You have to get better at putting yourself in alignment with your energy. That's your side of the street. It's not your employer's to make that happen for you. That's your side of the street. You've got to put yourself in the best position to be the most powerful for your company, period. That is your job. You don't want the wrong people in the wrong positions, dragging down the team and putting rocks in other people's backpacks. It is the worst thing that can happen at your company. And the little things are the big things, right? The little moment where we have this little squirrel in our head that says, you know what, just act like it doesn't exist, it'll go away. I won't have to do that thing I don't want to do. It's just going to fade off into the night. You guys know that monsters under the bed always come back to bite you in the butt. They really do. The second you don't do that, guess what it does to you as an employee? It breaks down your integrity for doing what you said you were going to do or what somebody thinks you're responsible for doing. It doesn't matter that you don't think you're responsible for it. It matters that somebody in your company thinks you're responsible for it. So then what happens? When Betty Lou says Sarah Lee didn't do this thing, Sarah Lee starts to get a reputation that she doesn't want simply because Sarah Lee wasn't brave enough to say, hey, Betty Lou, I don't want to do that. Betty Lou, that's not going to work for me. Betty Lou, I'm not good at that. Betty Lou, I'm scared of that. Betty Lou, I'm overwhelmed. Just name it. That's what nonviolent communication is. Okay, coming to a close. We just got a couple minutes. Your side of the street, respect solicits respect. Build your fabric. And this is one thing that the Dolan Auto Group, in my opinion, does so incredibly well. And I think it's a testament that you're all sitting in this room with the opportunity just to listen to a speaker about how they got somewhere wild in our community. Dolan Auto Group is a great reflection of building fabric. Okay, building fabric for me means every single thing I touch in my life is a thread of my fabric. Your fabric could be a different color, texture, pattern. It represents everything that you've built in your life to be the human that is standing in front of you that says, I have culture, I have fabric, I have texture, I bring something to the table. This is what is at the core of everything. And when you think about this, this is literally what I did to accomplish my goal. I built my fabric. I have relationships where respect solicits respect. I feed the good, I starve the bad. I pay attention to energy. It's one of the most important currencies I think you can exchange. The fact that, hey, if what's your quote on enthusiasm? If you don't come to work with
Fired with
how freaking cool is that? It's the best. And guess what it is? It's a really great why it's so funny though is Brady that quote does a great job of nonviolent communication. I expect enthusiasm, and if you don't bring it, guess what I'll do? I'll tell you my boundary is that you will not be working here and you'll be fired with enthusiasm. That is a great nonviolent boundary setting tool. That's exactly what it is. It's perfect. So that energy matters. And owning your energy, owning the fact that you have a boundary, owning the fact that you want to feel empowered in that space is what matters. Okay. I showed up to the man who told me to shut my mouth and I said, it does not make me feel good when you say to shut my mouth. I feel like you're doing that because you want to know that your power is not threatened by my presence. Now that may not be what it is for him, but that's what it felt like to me. I think this is what's happening. Maybe that's not what's happening, but why did you say that? That's not nice. That doesn't make me feel good. If I want to have a good relationship with you, I don't want to threaten this space. I want us to coexist peacefully. That's what I want. If that doesn't work for you, it's your rock, your backpack. I'm going to leave without that backpack. But I've at least named it. Networking, obviously, sitting in this room with a jury of peers. I want to thank the men that are in this room because you probably thought this was going to be like a he-man, woman, man-hating, bashing session, whatever that is. He-man, woman, yeah. That's what the past presidents wanted to wear on their shirts when I showed up to my first past presidents meeting. The he-man, woman hater. But collecting all of your experiences, putting them together, and maintaining an ever-forward mentality, I think is paramount to success in this space. I want to thank you for having me. Reno Rodeo got me here. June dates are next year. We're excited to have you. That's my timer. I want to thank you for literally having me in this space. The Dolan Auto Group, Tom, Brady, Ryan, my chapter, I was sponsorship chair with the Reno Rodeo for quite some time, and that's how my relationship with the Dolans got as strong as it did. But this is part of the fabric, right? The Reno Rodeo is part of what's given me the platform to be here today. And yes, I'm the human that served in that role, but that organization of 1,000 volunteers over 105 years is literally why I'm standing before you today. So don't forget to give energy back to the system that feeds you. It's paramount in success. Working for a company like Dolan Auto Group that does something like this is freaking cool. This is badass. This is top of the line. It does not get better than this. Now, because you improve it, I'm sure there's 1,000 things that you can think of at this company that you can improve. Take care of your side of the street. Be the best you can be and make them the best they can be. Because guess what? This company believes in giving back to its employees, and that is everything. If you believe in your people and you work for a company that believes in its people, it is everything that matters, because that is respect solicits respect. And I promise you, your capabilities are your own limitations, not theirs. I want to say thank you to the Dolan Auto Group. Thank you for having me. Brady, thank you for the nice things you've said about me. I am touched. Like, honestly, nobody's ever said so many nice things in one presentation before. It means a lot to me personally.
You can be your high person.
You are. Like, you're hired. I like the enthusiasm you're in. I'll see you in the wild. If you guys want anything or need anything from me, my email's at the bottom of the screen. I also have business cards up here, and I hope you all have the best freaking day, and thank you for giving me some energy.
If you have any questions, not for me.
It's not me.
No?
I love that. With the next president?
Yeah, or like
Future? I guess probably my next chapter is just making sure that I hold a really good space inside our past presidents group. To be really blunt with you, it's super political. To give you an example of that, we have 31 past presidents as of now. Those 31 past presidents in our organization hold a vote on every decision that the board makes. There are 50 board members and there's 31 past presidents. So those past presidents having a vote is incredibly powerful. One of the challenges that we face with past presidents is a lot of ego, because we've all served at the highest capability inside the organization. It's just part of what happens when you're leading an org. You have ego, you have investment, you have vision, and each of those visions is as unique as the individuals that served. I want to make sure that that vote doesn't get abused. is bluntly how I want to do it. I want to lead from that space to help us communicate better. The past presidents are terrified of losing their vote because it's them losing their voice in an organization that they've had a significant voice over. So there's things happening in our organization that bluntly are power plays. And I want to find a way to not make the power play, but say, hey, I see that you're concerned about still having a voice inside this organization. How do we do that like healthy? That's what I want. That's kind of what I'm hoping I can impact in that space. But you don't ever know what it's like until you're there. So I'm gonna have to figure out what this looks like. I don't know. I'm not, see? Yeah, I may get told to shut up. Any other questions? Did you all come to the review?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. I think you're going to be really excited for what's in store next year. I know Jim has some great ideas. It's going to be a fun rodeo. And thank you, seriously, as employees, thank you for being as contributive to the Reno Rodeo. And Brady, thank you. Bottom of my heart.
Awesome. No? Wow, that was fantastic. Seriously, I have a bunch of notes. If anybody does want the book, I will purchase it for you, but you guys know my rule, right? I will be reading this because I need to figure this nonviolent communication out. I have tough conversations, which is another one. And so I will work on that. All right. So if anybody wants it, just let me know, email me, Brady at Dolan Auto Group, and I will get it to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So, also, thank you so much. That was fantastic. The energy was fantastic. The key points that I took away, right? Thank you for the people who are vulnerable. I know vulnerability is a tough thing in these environments. All right, that is fantastic doing that, Natalie. But also the same is take care of your street, be bold, right? I love that. I thought Carrie Ann made a lot of tough decisions, right? And being bold in what she did. Also, you're always going to have critics. I think she did a fantastic job being bold, making tough decisions within the organization, right? And everyone's going to have a critic, all right? Everyone's going to talk about the critic, but she drowned that out. She fed it the right energy, the positivity, and she had a lasting effect on an organization that's 105 years old. So fantastic job. It was a fantastic rodeo. Rubbed some dirt on it. It was fantastic. It was a great job. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for what the Reno Rodeo stands for. If anybody doesn't know, it is a nonprofit. So all the revenue that we receive or through the Rodeo Association is given to less needy people, right? That's part of what we do here, right? It's part of our mission statement is support those people that are less fortunate or that need from us, right? It's what we do within our organization. So Reno Rodeo is part of that. It's a fabric of our community, right? And we love the community that supports us in business that we got to get back to them. So Carrie Ann, thank you. It's fantastic. We will get a picture with everybody after this, all right, with her. And any comments, questions, anything for me? No? All right, picture time.